remember just kind of feeling like when I acknowledged that I was like, oh crap, I've gained all of this weight. Where did it come from? I was maybe depressed for like a couple months. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I need to learn how to, because it was this, I went through the same process of looking at old pictures of myself where I was like, oh, you just have 5 more pounds to lose and you'll be perfect. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was such a skinny bitch back then.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I hate that. Like you said, I hated being in that state of like just never being happy with myself and always feeling like there was something I had to work on. And so I was like, all right, before I even try to attempt to go towards trying to lose this weight again, because I'm just going to get caught in that same cycle of never being happy, I was like, I'm going to take like time to just learn how to appreciate myself. Like, what can I do to love myself where I'm at right now, so that then the thing that I am now fixing is not me hating myself, but it's more so just me kind of improving for health reasons, and like not necessarily attaching my weight loss to looking a certain way, but more so about feeling a certain way. So I guess like thinking about that, like what do you think are some activities? Like I remember I did the Victoria's Secret fashion show for BuzzFeed, and that was huge for me to be able, I was at like one of my heaviest sizes in like years walking on that runway in my underwear. And then, I did boudoir. And so like, what do you think are some things that could help you confront those feelings of like insecurity? Like, do you think that it would be possible for you to learn how to accept yourself at this stage first?
Well, I think through my own process, because like, I don't know, it's like, I think once I had that revelation that I'm consistently unhappy with myself, is like, man, I'm not really ever enjoying life in that current state, because I always feel like, man, I just felt like so shitty. Like I would just see videos, because they constantly play the videos at BuzzFeed all the time with my face on it. And I'm like, man, I just thought I looked like an ugly piece of ass. Like I was just like a hamburger, just like on screen.
Don't say. I mean, I know we all have to confront our inner voices. It just makes me sad.
Yeah, so I'm like, just like, oh, that's why I was like wearing like extra layers, but I feel like it just made me look fatter and stuff. So it's like, but yeah, but there's still people out there that like, and it's kind of fucked up in a society thing where like, on Instagram, social media, because we're out there and the internet, people are like, oh, Eli, you're cute. Eli, you're this. Eli, you're that. It's like, but I don't feel that. So it really comes down to yourself. It doesn't matter like how many people say you're hot. You're still gonna have these insecurities, and it really came down to like my mindset. Like I worked really hard to just like love myself. Like I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of just use this hashtag of like self-hype, because I think it all really comes down to you with a lot of things. Like you really gotta love yourself before you do anything in life. I feel it's like you really gotta.
So what has been your process in terms of figuring out? So like for me, like it was doing boudoir and it was doing like that runway thing. Like what do you think is helping you learn how to love yourself more before you try to, work on changing yourself?
So I think I always put the pressure on myself as far as working out. I feel like as far as like men goes, we have to like crush it. We have to, if we're gonna go on a run, it's gonna be the hard. We gotta go hard, nonstop. We have to beat this time. We have to like push ourselves. It has to be intense. It has to be raw. It has to be like up to these levels. Cause like I'll watch like MMA highlights from Muhammad Ali or hear like these Mike Tyson things. And I'm like, you gotta just get it. And then I kind of learned where like, and that's really what it was in high school in wrestling. Like they just pushed a super hardcore masculinity, boom, boom. You have to go 110% every single time. But then that later on in life, it brought me insecurity once I wasn't in that space anymore. It was like, oh, I don't, but like 90% of feeling better is just going out there and doing it. Like if I go on a run, I don't have to crush it. Like I don't have to be 110%. As long as I'm out there running, like even if I don't hit a full 3 miles, the fact that I did like a half mile, a mile, all that matters is that I'm out there and I'm doing it, and I will get better. And that's what it is. Like it's consistency, not the result, because the result will come through the consistency. And I think that was the key.
Dropping little Twitter lines over here.
And that's really what it was for me. It wasn't about like a home run every time I go out there and do anything. It's about the consistency of trying, and eventually you'll get the results. And honestly, like what I do after I run is like running is very therapeutic for me, because I get to think. And after I'm done running, I just like close my eyes and lift my hands up. like I saw this TED Talk about using your space.
Oh yeah, power posing.
Yeah, it's like you just take up as much space as you can. And so after my run, I do that. Think about my goals. Think about just like positivity. Think about these things. So I'm really refreshed on like a body level and also like a mental level. So like I feel like I'm gonna just fuck shit up. I feel like I'm just gonna crush shit. And I think just the consistency, like with your mental state and consistency with like just going out there and doing it, you're just eventually gonna reach like a pillar of like acceptance of yourself. But yeah, I think it's just not falling into the pressure of the competition with others and yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think with men, we tend to consistently compete and have to do over. And if we don't beat ourselves, or we don't beat the person next to us, then we're seen as failures.
And I think that that's an interesting point that you bring up too, because I think that I do feel like when it comes to men, like you guys do a lot of stuff to compete with each other and not necessarily for the prize that's at hand.
Right.
It's like if the goal is to do better for yourself, I feel like men are often doing it because it's like, I want to do better than Steve, even though it's like, but that has nothing to do with you bettering yourself. If you're trying to compete with Steve, like better yourself for you. And it's not to say that women don't do that either. I just feel like it's something that I really noticed amongst men. Like men like have to have the hottest girl, and they need to have the biggest house and the biggest dick and the best shoes and what. And it's just like at a certain point, I'm just like, but like, who is this for? Like, it's not really for me. Like, I feel like you and I have gotten into it about abs and guys and needing abs, and I'm just like, I personally don't give a fuck. And you're like, no, all y'all want is abs. And I'm like, okay, well, that's you telling me what I want. So
I think that's true. I mean, yeah, it's you don't see enough of average Joe stuff.